Hi, I'm Heather Morrison. I hope you joined me on October 27th, 2021, when I was there to guide a mini memoir guided exercise writing workshop. And if you weren't there, I'm sorry you weren't there, but I hope you will enjoy this exercise and this recording. So bear with me. My computer is very sensitive and sometimes it skips to the next slide. So I just wanted to say hi, and now I'm going to hide my view of my person so that you can just focus on the screen and the recording. So 1 second. Let's see. Here we go. Okay. Like I said, it's sensitive. Okay, so today, and you can use this recording over and over again to create many stories. But today, you're going to get started with a guided writing exercise. And so, as we discussed in the workshop, memoirs are basically just true stories told by you around a unifying theme or event. So what I'm going to do, like I did in the workshop, is I'm going to give you some instructions, and I'm basically going to give you instructions, then you'll write. I'll give you more instructions and you'll write some more. And by the end, you'll either have tons and tons of ideas and thoughts and images and descriptive language to create a story, or you will have written out a whole story by the time by the time you're done. So, how you want to use this recording is I'm going to give you some instructions. Let me say that again. I'm going to give you some instructions, and then you'll pause the recording and write as long as you want. Whether you're watching a video or audio, it will work the same for you. Um, and then I encourage you to actually leave space below what you've written so you can come back to it at a later time and add on to it. Okay, let's begin. So it's a good idea at the beginning of writing to brainstorm, or as some of my friends say, a brain dump. So the idea is you're going to take some paper. I hope you have it handy with your pen, and you're going to brainstorm a bunch of ideas. And ideally, these are important events or pivotal moments in your life. Think of something that's potent, maybe a turning point, discovery, something life defining, life changing. Could be happy or sad, but something intense. You'll probably have a lot of memories about and images and language to describe it. And that's what you're looking for. So you're going to jot down some ideas and see how many you can come up with. It doesn't have to be complete sentences. Spelling doesn't matter. Grammar doesn't matter. I don't care how messy your handwriting is, as long as you can read it. So here are some examples, like the day you gave birth to your daughter or your son, a moment during your wedding, you moved to a new town or home, first day on the job, or quitting one, or being fired, first kiss, fell in love with your spouse to be, the time you made a huge mistake and what that meant for your life. Huge mistakes are wonderful, right? When you look back at them, because they took you on a journey that you didn't expect and maybe you didn't want. But hopefully it turned out for the better. Sometimes you never know, and sometimes you do. So now what I want you to do is pause this recording and write. Now I'm going to continue on with this recording, but you're going to stop right now and do that exercise. And in the workshop, I gave people 4 minutes to get them writing really quickly. So I encourage you to just do some quick writing. Doesn't have to be a lot. Get some ideas down and then come back to this recording. Great. Welcome back. I hope you had fun with your brainstorm. So now what I want you to do is look at all the ideas that you've generated, and I want you to pick one and circle it. And then I want you to make up a title for it and put it at the top of the page, and something really on the nose, something very explicit like my first kiss or the last time I saw him or her. So pause this recording now and take a few moments and do that. And then come back. Okay, so continuing on. Sorry, this popped ahead. Go back. Sorry, again, my computer's very sensitive. So now what you're going to do is you're going to flesh out the topic or event or happening that you've chosen. You want to include who, what, where, when, and how. Uh, I like to think of it as the cast of characters. Who are the main people in addition to you who were uh, important to the story? And what actually happened and how you describe that with images and as precise language as you can muster. Where was it? Was it in your house? Was it in Russia? So where were you physically and geographically? When was it? And how old were you? And how did you feel when it happened? And how did it unfold? And how did it happen? And anything else that's important. Sometimes we write about something and we know it's important, and somebody else reads it and they don't get it. So, context is the kind of information that helps somebody really understand why this was so important to you. So, now I'm going to ask you again to pause this recording and take 4 minutes or more and write. Okay, I hope that was great for you. We're going to move on to the next section of this writing exercise, which is to think of a second event and think of something that was happening in your life or in the world at the same time. Like if it was a personal example, I thought of like you were planting a garden at the same time as that first event, or you started a new job, or you moved, or perhaps you were sick, or somebody in your family was sick. So I did a quick bit of research and I came up with some world events, some which you may not would not have included on the timeline, but this gives you an idea of all the things that were happening and I squeezed it onto this slide and the next, like the Summer of Love in 1967, or the Beatles on the Ed Sullivan Show, or Elizabeth became queen in 1952. I think that's interesting that car seatbelts were first introduced in 1952 and Singing in the Rain opened in 1952. So again, you can pause this recording and read this more completely at your leisure. And then from 1977 to this year, lots of things happened. Look at 1977, Elvis died. Roots aired on TV. Star Wars, the movie opened. Annie opened on Broadway. And in 82, E.T., the movie premiered. And then I remember when the Challenger exploded when it took off. It was just shocking and very sad. Unfortunately, a lot of these things are sad and heavy. Although there's the royal wedding with Harry and Meghan, if you were following the royal family. Um, and then we come up on 2020 and we're moving into the pandemic and the creation of the COVID-19 vaccination and Trump's impeachment and Biden coming into office. And then 2021, the US made Juneteenth a federal holiday. So there is tons and tons more of major things that have happened in history, obviously. And it could be very interesting if one of those coincided with the topic and event that you chose, and see if there's something kind of interesting going on between the two of them. So why don't you pause the recording now and go ahead and write for 4 minutes or longer. Great. I hope that was fun for you finding a second thing to write about. So now I want you to think about how the first and second event connect, relate, or impact each other. For example, was your husband fighting in World War II and wondering if he was alive while you were pregnant and giving birth? Did you fall in love while the world was at war? I guess my mind is on war these days. Were you tending to a newborn and watching the seasons change? So connections can be very powerful when we look at them in relation to each other. Can you find a way to relate the first and second topics that you've chosen? And and what are they? What are the relationships? What is the relationship? Okay, pause the recording now and write. Great. Now, kind of closely related to some of the relationships between something is looking at some of the themes. You can look at each of these events and look for a theme for each one, and then also look and see how they might relate to each other. Like, is one were you feeling angry, but you were also surrounded by happiness? Was there loss and discovery, death and renewal or birth? Remembering and forgetting, joy and devastation. You can think of things being on either end of a spectrum. Can you think of something dramatic or that is actually two joyful things or two events that were renewals. So they can be the same theme. So take some time now, pause this recording, and think of how you might see these things thematically relate to each other. Great. I hope you really found that interesting and enlightening. So now, what I would like you to do is we're going to wrap up this exercise with a few thoughts. So I want you to take a few minutes now, or as long as you want, of course, because that's the beauty of of a recording, is write a few sentences about any new insights or perspectives or conclusions that you have now that you didn't have when you started the exercise. Did you find something surprised you? Were you moved by what you remembered and what you wrote? And did you remember some memories that you thought you'd forgotten? So take some time now and write, pause the recording. Great. I hope you did have some epiphanies and some prizes that you realized that you had in doing this exercise. Now, what I'd like you to do is to look through everything that you've written and circle your favorites. Is there an image or a sentence or an idea of something that you're really proud of or something that you just really love? It really resonated with you. So, I would take some time now and do that. And pause the recording here. So, I haven't moved to the next slide yet because I'd like to invite you to email me anything that you wanted to tell me about doing this exercise and sharing any of your favorites, your favorite images or sentences or ideas. I'd love to hear from you. And my email will be on the last slide. So, congratulations. You're done. You've written a memoir or you've produced a ton of information so that when you're ready to get back to it, you have lots to work with. There's no fear facing a blank page, and you can start writing your story. So, like I said, I hope you left some room under what you wrote so that you can continue to expand. And I'd like to encourage you to share your story. You can share your story with me, share your story with Janet or somebody in the seniors group that you're friends with, and share it with your family if you are so inclined. And I hope you enjoyed it. I thoroughly enjoyed designing this exercise for you. And uh, thank you. Again, this has been Heather Morrison. This is my email address if you'd like to reach out to me, and I'd love to hear from you. Thank you so much.